Welcome to Fieros' story time with me, Fieros, on the channel Fieros Reborn. So I went through a summary of the stuff from my life on the last video, and I got to the point where I was staying at Cherry's house. So Cherry was someone who I met while I was busking on the street in Windsor, while I was going out with Charlie actually. So while I was going out with Charlie and living in the summer house in Ragesbury, I would go busking on the weekends, usually 1 or 2 days, and sometimes in the week as well, but I don't know. I always remember I was in my green car, my Rover 25, and I would get in the green car on a Saturday and go into Windsor, and I had this amplifier that was given to me by my dad for my birthday while I was at uni. I think it was for my 21st birthday, because I think it was the year that my mum made this, she made like a kind of book honouring my life up until that point, with photographs and little descriptions and stuff, featuring everyone who had meant anything to me up to that point, including Andrea, including Steph, the band, family, and Charlie was in there as well. And later on, I just got rid of that book. I wanted to break up with my family, basically, so I got rid of things that were symbols of my history, because I think part of it was that I didn't like the fact that my history had been written for me by my mum rather than by myself, something like that. And I was also upset about the fact that, like, I was in this mode where I believed that I was, I don't know, really, actually. I don't know, but I got rid of it anyway, and ripped up the pictures and got rid of the whole thing. And I think my mum was really quite upset about that, but she didn't show the full extent of how upset she was to me anyway. So yeah, I got this amplifier given to me on the 21st birthday, and I should have mentioned that while I was at university I did go busking in Reading as well. I had to do this little audition. It was supposed to be half an hour, but I ended up just setting up my equipment and playing 30 seconds of a song, like of one of the ones that I would normally play. I think I probably played Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry, because I tend to play that. That's been one of the songs I've played always since I first started playing covers and busking. Yeah, I probably did play. I think I played Save Tonight. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe I played Consumed in Self. Well, I played something. And they went, yeah, fine. I went, oh, I had to come all the way here, pay 30 quid, set up my equipment, sing for half a minute, just for you to go, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that was a waste of time by my standards. Why couldn't you just come and see me playing in the street anyway? Yeah, so I packed up and I got my little license badge thing to be a licensed busker in Reading. Right. So I was a busker. I got the idea from one of the other guys who I'd known, who was a busker, who I had known on the music scene in Windsor since I was about 15, doing the band stuff. We knew this guy. His name was Mark Handley. He was an embarrassment, basically. He was the guy who would hand out inflatable guitars to children and chase children around on the street, singing to people and try to catch the eye of women in the street. He was just a laughing stock, basically, and his music is terrible. But he was a regular busker, and he did make money from it. I think it was the only way he made any money, apart from doing occasional work for his dad. Yeah. Um, I don't know how he made money because his music's absolutely terrible. He was always having albums as well. He always had albums for sale. He still does have albums for sale, and they're all terrible. They've got hardly any value in them in terms of lyrical content or musical content. They're very naive and childish lyrics. I don't know how. I don't know how he's managed to continue being so terrible after doing this for so long. You would have thought you would improve at your songwriting, but after a certain point, but it's just it's ridiculous. So, but he inspired me in the first instance to have the courage to busk, because I went up and asked him. I was like, "How do you do this? You know, what made you start, or should I do it?" And he went, "Yeah, just do it. You don't need a license, and if they give you hassle, then you know you can find your rights. Here's a sheet or something, or I'll show you a website where they've got the rights of buskers, legal rights and stuff." So yeah, so basically that's how I began. I just decided to go and do it, and did it. Yeah. So anyway, I would do that on Windsor, in Windsor, sorry, on Pescott Street in Windsor. And one time while I was busking, this lady came up and she decided to draw me in pastel. Uh, like she was just having an afternoon out in Windsor. Her name was Cherry. She had a son called Rowan, who was 15, I think, at the time. And I was still young, 21, I suppose, at that time, or maybe 20. I'm not exactly sure. So Rowan and some of his friends were there, and they thought I was good, and I was young, and I was cool, you know. And they ended up calling me Ross the Busker after a while, because I was like, I was a cool guy. I was friendly. I was open. I sang songs that they knew, and they could sing along to and stuff. And I was a cool guy at that age, from their perspective, anyway. And I had this little bandana thing on, and I was a bit of a hippie and stuff, and singing songs reasonably well. Probably not that good if I look back at it, but reasonably well. Um, yeah. I'm only 33 and I'm telling this story like it's like I'm 83 and I'm telling my life fucking like I'm about to die or something. Maybe I am about to die. Anyway, so I met Cherry there. I don't know if it was the first time she met me that she decided to draw me. I think it was probably the second time that she said that she was an artist and she likes to do pastel coloured drawings. And she brought her easel and a piece of blue card, and then she'd do a pastel drawing of me wearing my little red bandana and playing the guitar. I had a black guitar at that time. It was a Yamaha or an Ibanez. I can't remember. Probably one or the other. I think my brother's one was a Yamaha and mine was an Ibanez. We both had black guitars because he copied me. He copied me, or maybe I copied him. Mine was I don't know. I'll remember it sometime, or it'll be on some picture somewhere, and then I'll know what it was. Yeah. And then so yeah, so I met Cherry, and her husband had died at a very young age. Her husband was younger than her anyway, a little bit younger, not that much. And he had died at the age of 35. So I'm 33, so I could die 2 years' time. Whoa. You know, death has been on the cards and on the fucking horizon. Maybe not for myself, but it's been around me. A friend of mine died at age of 42 recently. It's just bizarre. Yeah, death has been like, this whole year has been about death in one way or another. Yeah. My grand's nearly 90, so she is going to have to die. It is impossible for her to continue living. I can't believe. I hope to God she does not live for another 10 years, because she's making my mum absolutely miserable, and it's making me miserable because my mum weighs me down. My gran weighs my mum down. My mum weighs me down, and it's just not a nice atmosphere in the house when my mum is angry and depressed and stuff. So it's hard times down on Fieros Farm. Yeah. Okay. I feel like maybe we should have some music in the background because it feels kind of quite empty and lonely here at the moment. It's really quiet. And that's nice in a way, but I think it might be scary for some people. Yeah. Right, let's put some soothing. Ooh, there's some naked people on here. Let's put some soothing porno music on in the background. No. Let's put heart chakra healing music on in the background. No, let's put the receive unexpected money one on. Receive unexpected money, music to attract money, golden energy. Okay, so if any of you receive unexpected money, it's because you watched this video. Fine. Let's put that. Okay, fine. Yeah, so I met Cherry while I was busking. Her husband had died though recently, and so oh God, look at my hair. Oh well. Yeah, her husband had died, and so she was kind of single and walking around and stuff, and had a new perspective on life because of it. So she was a bit more kind of free and open-hearted than the average person, because she'd suddenly been through a random massive tragedy that had given her this new perspective on life. And in fact, this is a generalization, but often the people who I've met who have been through random massive tragedies. One of my friends who's one of his parents died when he was young. He is a much more open person than any of my other friends. Cherry was very open. She went through this massive tragedy with her husband dying suddenly. The husband died suddenly over the dinner table. I think it was a heart attack or something. He just dropped down dead. Can you imagine how traumatic that would be? You're just at the dinner table and your husband just dies. Oh God, it doesn't bear thinking about. Like, I would have flashbacks from that for years, and that would freak me out for years. It would probably terrify me that I was going to die at any minute, and also it would just put a real sense of fear in me and trauma, and oh my God, I can't believe that happened and stuff, and flashing it back in my mind, and I have to have therapy for like years about that. So she met me, and her son was there as well, and some of their friends, I believe, as well. This is something that was tending to happen while I was at that age. Was the teenagers in the local area were always interested in me, as in, you know, groups of teenagers would come along and watch me play and like me, and occasionally give me money and talk to me and stuff, and request songs, because teenagers ain't got nothing to do on the weekends sometimes, and they just float about in their little groups and gaggles and gangs, and they sounds like choir music in the background, angel music. Anyway, so the teenagers were like my best fans and my best supporters, but it got a bit weird because one of them, or a couple of them, wanted to give me their number, and then they wanted me to come out with them, and I was like, no. It was even weird that they wanted to give me their number, and they started texting me, and I was like, and I freaked out, because I was like, oh man, these people are like 16. I think they're 16, yeah. And I was like, 15 or 16. I was like, wow, God, what the hell is this? And there was nothing sexual or anything. They just were trying to be friends with me, and I just thought, this is too weird, and I just deleted their numbers. So I don't even know why I let them give me their fucking numbers in the first place. Or they took mine, I think. Oh God, it's probably because it was on my card. That's what it was. It was on my card, and they started texting me, and I was like, me. So yeah. That was strange, and I felt really uncomfortable with the whole thing. So I think I just said to them, "Look, I can't do this, whatever." And they were fine with it, but it was really weird. This was while I was still going out with Charlie as well. So got rid of them off my phone anyway. Yeah, and then oh yeah, so I met Cherry there on the street while busking. I remember that a group of Rowan's friends were all there one time. Probably the time that I met them, or maybe another time. I don't know, but one thing led to another, and Cherry invited me to play at Rowan's birthday party in the summer, or a summer party, some kind of. I think it was Rowan's birthday party in the summer, in June, and she was going to pay me, and she paid me 50 quid or something, or 60 quid for playing a couple of hours in their back garden to entertain everyone. And I wouldn't just play, I'd be entertaining, so I'd talk to people and build a rapport and get them involved on songs and stuff. And you know, it was interactive. It wasn't just me standing there playing songs, which was good. It was fun. Yeah, that was cool. I felt really quite good about that whole setup because I felt wanted and I felt appreciated, I suppose, because the things I was doing in terms of my music were hitting the right chord with people, and they were my audience, and they were enjoying it, and they were wanting more, and they were really fanny. They were really fanny type people. So I got some big fans out of that. Fannies. No fanny actually, but yeah, so it was really nice to have this group of younger people who were fans of my music. And as I say, they called me Ross the Busker, and then it became RTB. Ross the Busker. And all those people now are grown up, so they're 20s, 26 or something like that, I suppose, 27. I don't know how old exactly they are, but they still call me RTB. If I ever bump into them, they call me RTB. One of them does, anyway. Ross the Busker. I taught Rowan guitar for a while as well afterwards. So anyway, that's how I met Cherry. Busking and then doing some summer gigs for her. I did 2 of them, and the second time I was like, I want to up my money. I'm going to ask for 100 quid. So I did up my money and got paid 100 quid for the second one. So that was good. But then Cherry started running out of money and she couldn't do that again. But it was nice of her to support me in my my career at that time. So yeah, and I believe that a lot of those guys bought my album as well at the time, so that was nice of them. So I made money from that as well, and I was feeling really good about the whole thing, you know, because finally something was starting to work. Finally, I got some attention and some interest from people, and these were good people as well, and it just felt like something was happening for me for once. I was also doing other covers gigs as well. I was occasionally getting invited to do gigs off the back of busking. I did some with this guy called Scott. He was a artist manager or promoter or an agent or something. I think agent is probably the best way to call him. So he would fish out gigs and then he'd take a little cut and I'd get paid 150 quid or something for the night. And I only did a couple of those, and in fact I had some difficulties with him because my moods weren't great and sometimes I wouldn't feel like playing. And I got quite upset because some of the crowds were a bit rowdy and stuff, and I just wasn't very happy with the whole thing. Scott, did I say his name was Scott? Yeah, well, let's call him Scott anyway. So Scott got a bit funny with me because I wasn't being as professional as I should have been, which is fair enough. I wasn't being professional, I was just being a bit of a dick. And eventually he and I just fell out, and he didn't get me any more gigs. Fair enough. I didn't really want to do any more gigs for him either because they were in crummy places that everyone was always drunk and being dicks, and I was just like, oh, fucking hell. One drunk, I think she was Korean or something, lady was being really sexually inappropriate to me while I was playing, and I was like, just I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Okay, so now let's fast forward. So I've given you the context as to how I met Cherry in the first place, and then so let's bring in the story of how I escaped from hospital. I told you that recently, how I escaped down the elevator by pretending to be a patient, not a patient, pretending to be a visitor. Sorry, got in the lift, went down, couldn't believe my luck in a way, couldn't believe that I hadn't been found out. Just pretended everything was normal, and therefore everything was normal because no one noticed that I wasn't supposed to be there. I got out of the lift at the bottom and went out again. No one noticed, and then I walked home, as I said before, like a homing pigeon, because I'd never actually walked that way. And honestly, I did not know where I was going. I was just sort of like, it's almost like I was smelling the way, like, where is it? Where is it? No, I just kind of knew, and I was just like walking in a certain direction. I was like, this is where I got to go. I'm going this way. I feel home is this way. I don't know if it's this way really. I've never been this way, but I was like walking over some random grass and stuff, and I was like, I don't know where I am, but I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. So I did, and I got home really quickly as well. I really marched it. It was less than half an hour, or around half an hour to walk back. It's really quick. I've subsequently gone by there again just to retread my steps, and yeah, it was mad how quick I got back. I got back really quickly. So then, as I said before, I got back here. Very shortly afterwards, the CMHT people showed up, Sarah and Paul. Yeah, Sarah and Paul, to try and take me back to hospital. Ward 10, that was Ward 10 in Wexham Park Hospital, right? Psychiatric ward. And I was not having any of it. I didn't want to go back there. That's why I had escaped. I didn't believe that I was supposed to be there in the first place, and it was a horrible place. There was no outsideness to it. You were just trapped in there. You couldn't go out. There was no outside area to walk around in. Like, there was no courtyard or anything like that. Even if it was contained, there was no space. There was no outside space. So you're on the first floor. There was this little smoking room, which was gross anyway, because there was smoking there all the time. The facilities, they were terrible. Everything smelled grim. There were all these nutters around. And the main thing was I was trapped, and I felt so what is it? It's kind of like contained, trapped, limited, frustrated. Contained really is the word, contained, and wanting to bust out the whole time, and like I shouldn't be there, and it was wrong that I was there, and it was an imposition, and the feeling of trapped is so strong. I can't describe it, how claustrophobic that feeling is of being somewhere and you're not allowed out, and you don't think it's fair that you should be there. And you don't even really know why you're there. You've just been shoved there, as in, like, all the reasons that people said that I was there, I didn't believe were true. And so it was horrible, really horrible feeling. Being stuck in this place, and really, for me, one of the most distressing parts of it was not being able to be to touch the ground, not being able to walk on the actual ground floor, to feel the pavement or the earth or anything like that. I felt really unsettled by being suspended all the time. That's the word, suspended. I was always above ground. Just couldn't feel grounded anymore, and I really craved to just be outside and to fucking touch the ground with my feet, to just be on the ground. But I was always up in the air, like on this first floor, and I found that really distressing. Also, the fact that I didn't have any control. I didn't know how I could get out. I didn't know what the rules were. Like, how do I fucking get better according to your thing? Like, the doctors have all the power in that situation. It's only when they say that I'm better that I'm allowed out, so I'm completely powerless. It's not like they give you a kind of list of criteria of, okay, once you can manifest these behaviors or start thinking in this way, then we will let you out, because they hold all that back. They hold all their judgments and criterias and stuff back, so that you're kept in the dark. At least I was to begin with. As in, like, maybe they changed it now or something. But to begin with, when I was in there, I didn't know by what standards I was being assessed. I didn't know what were the requirements for me to get out. It just felt so much like everything was being decided by external parties. That my whole life was being decided by this system. So, I didn't have any say or any power about how long I was going to be in there for. So I was in this trapped situation that I didn't know why I was there. Okay, so I'd slapped my dad, but that didn't seem like it wasn't like a prison sentence either. I hadn't gone to court or anything. I hadn't been it wasn't to do with the crime. It was to do with my mental state. So it felt like it was a mix between a feeling of being in prison and being in a hospital. So it was hospital and prison at the same time. So you had the hospital setting with the beds and the canteen and the medicines and stuff like that, the nurses. And then you have the fact that you're not allowed out. So it's a prison to that extent. You're trapped in there. You are locked in. And I didn't see how I could get out, and I was so desperate to get out that I just escaped. Because, as I said as well, I also felt like it was really, I felt like it was against my human rights, because I just felt like things had been withheld from me that I thought were correct, as in information was being withheld from me, and things were being... All the power was concentrated in the doctors, and I did not have the power, and all the information was being withheld by the doctors as well. So I didn't have access to know, okay, so how are they assessing my situation here? How are they assessing my mental health? What rules are they using to keep me here? And how do I change them? And what power do I have? I don't fucking have any fucking power. So it was a really shit situation. In a way, prison might have been better, because at least I would have known what the fucking law was, and why I was there, and how long I would be there for, and what the criteria were. Okay, there's going to be all the horribleness of being in prison and the raping and the horrible situation and stuff. I don't even know what prison is like, but I presume it's not very nice. Yeah, so... But at least then I would have a structure, and to know, okay, if it was a sentence of like 3 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever, at least you fucking know what you can plan with that, you can plan that and be like, right, I'm going to be depressed for the first 5 years, then I'll work my way out of depression after the 5 years, and by the end of the 10th year I'll be rehabilitated and I'll be ready to go back into the world and commit some crimes again. Oh, fuck. So I escaped. Okay, got back here. Sarah and Paul came from the CMHC Community Mental Health Team to take me back to hospital. I wasn't having any of it. I was still trying to explain to them why I wasn't ill and why I wasn't mad. And I was trying to explain to them, like, the things, for example, they were taking pages from my journals and saying, look, you're mad, you're insane, look at the journal. I'm like, well, depends how you interpret it. Because if you took my view of it, I'm doing exercises there to clear myself of negative energy. So no wonder it looks like madness. They weren't having any of it, so they still wanted to take me back to hospital. I said, all right, I'll let you in, because they were trying to persuade me to let them in. I said, all right, I'll let you in. And then I came in, we had a bit of a conversation about it all. And then I said, okay, because they told me that the police are coming to get me. They're coming to pick me up in the car to take me back to hospital, right? And so I said, all right, if they're going to take me back to hospital, I want to go up and play on my drums one last time, because I had my drum kit in my room at that time. I think it was from a friend of mine. His name is Mark. He had lent me his drum kit while he didn't have somewhere to... I think it was Mark's drum kit. It might have been Graham's. Someone's drum kit was there. Probably Mark's, yeah, Mark's drum kit. One of Mark's drum kits was in my room at that time, because I used to have band practices in my room for a while. There was room enough in my bedroom for a drum kit, and I used to play on it by myself as well. Yeah, so I was like, I just want to have one more go on the drum kit, and they went, okay, fine. So obviously my plan was to escape. I think my plan was to escape anyway. I mean, I can imagine that my plan was to escape. I don't know if that was entirely what it was. I might have thought, oh, I'll just play on the drums, and then have the inspired thought, why don't I just escape? I don't think I had any intention of going back, so I presume that I think, no, actually, remembering it now, I think I had actually planned to escape. I believe that my plan was to play on the drums and then escape before the police got there. And so randomly I called my friend Sam to just sort of tell him that I was going to be off for a while, because I was saying to him, look, I'm going to be I didn't say the word fugitive, but I think I told him that I was going to be going somewhere for a while, and he might not know, he might not hear from me for a bit or something. And as I was putting the phone down to him, saying, look, I gotta go, man, catch you in a bit. As I was putting the phone down to him, I heard the police come. The police rang the doorbell. I think they rang the doorbell, or I heard them coming up the stairs. I think I heard them coming up the stairs, and I was like, oh shit. So I opened the window, and as I said from the last time, opened the window, and I'd practiced this scooching down the roof, scooching down the roof on my feet, my bum, like, right, get to the edge of the roof and then jump off onto the bit of grass from the garden and do a ninja roll and then run off. So I'd learned the ninja roll thing from somewhere, probably from karate or something, that when you land a jump and you roll, it helps to break your fall. So you just keep the momentum going and roll. And I used to do that as a kid, as like one of my tricks would be to jump off the roof onto the grass, do a ninja roll, and I'd be like, hey, I look cool, that looks really cool. I'm wearing my trainers and my school uniform. Pa-da! Yeah, so I did that. So I scooched down the roof, jumped off, did my ninja roll, and then pegged it down the road at the fastest sprint I had ever sprinted, I believe. And I think I remember going, oh God. I wasn't unfit. I was much fitter than I am now, but I wasn't fit either. I wasn't like dreadfully unhealthy, but I wasn't prepared to be running at the top speed. It wasn't like I was particularly athletic during that time in my life. So yeah, I was feeling the burn. Like, but I needed to run away. I really needed to escape that situation. So I pegged it hard down the road. And I can just imagine them knocking on my door, going, police knocking on my door, going, "Hello, Mr. Wilson, can we come in?" Maybe they did that for 1 or 2 times, and they just open the door and they go, boom, boom, boom. The window's open. They're like, ah, shit, and then they like trundle down the stairs, and then they like come out, open into the outside, on the street, looking around like, oh, where the hell? Where's he gone? And I've just scarpered. And as I say, I was thinking to myself, right, so if they've come out down the bottom there, they're going to be thinking there's only 2 ways he could have gone. It's that way or that way. And so we're going to have to split up. Some of you guys are going to have to go that way, and some of you are going to have to go this way. So I was thinking, okay, so I'll only get a couple of them. So I believe there were like 2 cars or something, or maybe more. Maybe 1 car showed up and then another car showed up afterwards, but there was definitely about 3 or 4 or 5 police officers looking for me at one point. Oh man, I feel so gleeful. I feel so kind of like happy that I dodged the system, and that was more clever and more cunning than the fucking police at the time anyway. Yeah, so pegged it down the road. They were looking around this way and that for me. They didn't know where I was, which is cool. I pegged it. I just kept on pegging it as far as I could go. And then I went into that secret place that I spoke about last time. This little rectangle of land that we didn't know what the hell it was. It was just this cool kind of creepy secret place, mysterious secret place around the corner near us. Yeah, where we used to pick blackberries and stuff, and then jump over into the bit and go, whoa, what is this place? Why is this here? I just felt naughty and mysterious for being in this place. Never did anything in there, just like, oh man. It's both kind of scary and thrilling and mysterious all at the same time when we were children. I think I was the only one who went in there. It was like, whoa. Yeah. And got in there, hid in there, because I didn't actually know that this like place led on to anything, but it does. Yeah, it might have been opened up since I was a kid to lead on to somewhere. It might not have always led on to somewhere. Either that, or we were always too scared to see what was beyond the bushes. Or I was always too scared. It was kind of like there was these bushes in this little rectangle of land. It had this gate thing and a fence. Or maybe it was just a fence. I can't remember. And I can't exactly remember how I got up and over it. It was some kind of clever climbing strategy that we used to do, like put your legs up against the fence and up against the wall or something and climb over it. We were geniuses for climbing up things when we were kids. You know, you could climb up anything when you're a kid. You're like a cat. Yeah. So I managed to get over that into this little bit of land and then peered through this tiny little hole in the fence. And I could see these police officers, they got the police car down the end of the road, parked up, and then they were like walking around going, looking at, and one of them came really fucking close. It was a woman, police lady woman, and I was fucking shitting myself. I was like trying to slow my breathing down so that I wouldn't give myself away. And as I said, I didn't know at that time what was beyond in that little rectangle. So I think that initially my plan was just to kind of stay in there until they went away. But then I decided, oh, maybe I'll just see what's over there. So I went through these bushes and, as I said, came out onto this field, which was the local school, St Bernard's Convent, St Bernard's Grammar School field, and I hadn't known that was there, but there it was. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then I walked through the grounds, like found the main buildings and stuff, and walked through the grounds. I was like, okay, well, this is amazing. It was one, it was a thrill that I was there. Two, it was actually very beautiful. I think it was Sunday. Yeah. I don't know what day it was. It was a nice day anyway. And there was no school going on and there was no one walking around in there. It was just me, and it just felt very pristine and beautiful, and there were dewdrops and the sun coming through. It was a morning and it just felt very like magical walking through there. And then I just popped out through some gate or other that was open. I don't know exactly how I got out, but I got out of there. And then just walked down the road into Slough and walked all the way to the train station. Again, not with any plan, no plan at all about like where the hell I was and where I was going. I don't even know if I had a backpack or not. I probably didn't even have a backpack at that time. I don't know what I had on me, to be honest. I think I might have had a phone, my wallet maybe. I don't know, because I'd just been in hospital for. I had a backpack. Did I have the backpack when I was running? I might have had to like leave some stuff. I think I had to leave my stuff at the place just so that I could escape. So I only had bits and bobs on me, like maybe a phone and a wallet, or maybe not even that, maybe just a wallet and my keys. Because I actually remember trying to plan not a break-in, but some kind of way of nipping into my house so that I could pick up my bag or something. But I never ended up doing it. Yeah, so anyway, I walked all the way to the station. Then I met a friend whose name is Chris, and Chris is a friend of Rowan's. So I mentioned Rowan earlier on, son of Cherry, who I met busking. And I think I met Chris while busking, but I definitely met him at one of those parties that I played at. One of Rowan's birthday parties or something in the summer. Okay, so I knew the guy, and he knew Rowan, and he was on his way to Rowan's in Taplow. And he said, yeah, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, fine. Pretending everything was kind of normal. That was the main thing to do in those days. Just pretend everything's normal, you know. Because the way I see it is your situation is contextual. So my situation from my own context, everything was normal. Like, I believed I was sane. I believed everyone else was going nuts around me. Okay, I wasn't a missing person. From my perspective, I knew where I was. Okay, from my perspective, all the stuff regarding the mental health system was all bollocks, and they'd got it all wrong anyway. So from my context, everything was now normal in one sense. And also, there's another part of this, which was when you trust yourself and you know yourself, it doesn't matter where you are or what your situation is, you always have the feeling of being, I don't know, being here or having resources. Somehow you feel resourceful. I don't know. I was quite resourceful back in those days. So, and I also believed that the universe was helping me and the universe wanted to help me. And I thought this was a miraculous event that I should bump into Chris while I was at the Slough train station, or walking to Slough train station. And he was going to Taplow, and I believe he bought me a ticket maybe or something because I didn't have the money. And we went to Rowan's on the train in Taplow, and got off the train, walked the last part of the journey to Rowan's. And then there I was at Cherries, and I remember getting into Cherries and having this conversation with her, and she didn't pry, but I said something, I don't exactly know how I'd said it, but something like, something's going on with me and my parents and I can't go back there. I was a person of very few words for a lot of the time. Like, I try and get away with like whatever I can without having to explain too much, and still I do that sometimes as well. You know, like, most of the time it's unnecessary to reveal absolutely everything that goes through your head to every person who you ever meet. So I was very sort of selective about what I would say in case it alarmed anyone, I suppose, and I just didn't feel it was necessary to tell them exactly what was going on, because they'd probably make a fuss out of it, and I didn't want that to happen. So, pardon me, I didn't tell them. Yeah. So I got to Cherries and remember sitting in the living room having a bit of a chat, and she said, "Look, you're welcome to stay here. I've had lost boys stay here before. You can stay in the attic room." And I was thinking like, "Oh, this is amazing, yes." And I ended up staying there. So I really need a wee. This is so unfortunate. This is bad timing. Hold the line, please. Oh. Hey. Right. So I realise I'm only inching the story forward a bit at a time at the moment, but fine, because I've basically just repeated everything I said yesterday. Now we're starting to move on a little bit. So I got to Cherries, and it told her something like I couldn't go back home. She said it was fine for me to stay in the loft attic room, whatever. And the loft attic room was quite cool, actually. I think it had a nice double bed maybe. A little bit of drawers. There was a skylight thing, which I'll tell you more about that in a bit. All right, fine. I peed out of it. I used to pee out of the skylight onto the roof. Yeah, because it was so much easier than going downstairs and potentially waking people up in order to go to the toilet. So I just peed out the roof. And the rain will wash it off anyway. Right, so I was at Cherries. Cherry didn't really know why I was there, but she was cool enough, safe enough, sound enough, whatever, to let me stay. I don't think she felt I was dangerous. I think she thought maybe I was a little bit weird or something, or in a interesting place in my life. Yeah, but that she was willing and caring. She was caring enough and willing enough to let me stay there. So that was very nice of her. Rowan was also living there, and that was it. So it's Cherry and Rowan and I, and then Rowan had a girlfriend called Emily, different Emily from the previous one I was talking about. We shall delineate them by calling the one that I failed to get with, call her M, and this one was called Emily. Right, so Rowan and Emily were boyfriend and girlfriend. Rowan was doing A levels, so was Emily, and Rowan played a lot of Warcraft, World of Warcraft, when it was all the rage back in those days, you see. Right. And so I don't exactly know how I ate. I mean, like, I must have just had dinner with them all. I think I had dinner with them all. And I think I was, like, allowed to eat food from the fridge. Yeah. But Cherry started making noises about, like, money and food and stuff, and what are you going to do, and when you're going to get your life on track and things. Yeah, and I was just like, because I couldn't do anything about that. I wasn't in a place to make any money at that time. I don't know what I was doing. I was, alright, let's say that I was psychotic at that time, from the outside world's point of view anyway. But from my point of view, I was in this mysterious journey of interest, intrigue, and wonder. So, let's try and tell you some of the things I did while I was at Cherry's. Well, I used to go off foraging around in the undergrowth to see what I could find. Sometimes you find things that people have thrown away by the side of the road, and that was always interesting to me to see what kinds of things people throw away. No one ever threw away anything decent though, as in I always thought, oh, maybe there'd be something that I could have from what people have thrown away. Like, it was never anything cool, you know what I mean? There's always junk. And I thought, why do people always throw away junk? Why don't people throw away good stuff that I like that they don't like, you know? I don't know what exactly that would have been at the time, but I just was... I was fascinated by, like, what gets left behind in little chunks and stuff. And you'd find little hobo dens as well. So where people would be living off-grid, if you like. And if they were homeless, there would be little places where people would live. I found one underneath a bridge. I don't know if I told you about this one already. I like to tell this story quite a lot, so it's probably in one of the videos before. But while I was staying in Taplow, the nearest town to Taplow is Maidenhead, right? Taplow is... no, it's not really a town. It's like a sort of little villagey type thing, or a bunch of houses. That there's not much to it, really. But it takes... I don't know how long it takes. Half an hour or something to walk from Taplow to Maidenhead. I was walking everywhere at that time. And actually, the fact that I was walking everywhere at that time eventually led to me getting an injury on my knee, which I had to have a operation for to get it fixed. But that came later. And in fact, while I was staying at Cherry's house, I had the first instance of some major pain because of this injury. It happened one morning. I got up, and maybe I'd slept funny or something, and my knee on my left leg, and my left leg in general, was just in agony. I was like, I can't walk, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know why, ow, I'm in such excruciating pain. And I just lay on the couch for a bit going, ah, right? And yeah, and then it kind of cleared up after a day or so, and it didn't come back, or it was just a little bit painy every now and again as I was walking, and I didn't really know what it was, and I didn't know why it was there. But later I found out what it was. It was a what did he call it? Exostasis, I think is what he called it. The doctor, exostosis. Exostosis, which is a benign outgrowth of cartilaginous tissue on a bone. Exostosis. A bone or a bone spur is the formation of new bone on the surface of a bone. Right? Let's look at this. Exostoses can cause chronic pain ranging from mild to debilitatingly severe. So chronic means long lasting, doesn't it? Yeah. Sometimes I think that the word chronic, the way that people use the word chronic, means very, very bad, but it actually means long lasting. Exostosis can cause chronic pain ranging from mild to debilitatingly severe, depending on the shape, size, and location of the lesion. So basically what had happened is there had been a little chip in the bone somehow, probably from all the walking I'd done. I'd just worn away a little chip or something in the bone, or small injury or something. And then a bony outgrowth occurred from there. So it started growing this extra piece of bone. Eventually I got it surgically removed, but not for a long time afterwards. It was just occasionally painful when I was walking, and as I say, I didn't really know why. But later we found out why, because the reason why I got it removed eventually was because I went to a little contemporary dance lesson thinking I'd get back into my performing arts stuff. And we did some real hardcore warm-ups, including some yoga stretches, and some of the yoga poses fucked my knee, and it just went, and I was like, in excruciating agony again, and had to go to hospital and got an appointment for an x-ray, and then got an appointment for the removal, the surgical procedure to get it removed, and then I had crutches for a week or so, and I was back walking around easily within a week. But yeah, that was an interesting, painful thing that happened later, which started in that period of time while I was at Cherry's, because I was walking around everywhere. So Cherry lived in Taplow, and the nearest place to there was Maidenhead. So I'm telling now the story of the hobo den I found at Maidenhead. So I used to walk back and forward to Maidenhead pretty much every day from Taplow, just kind of to get out of the house, to get some air, to forage around, to look at people, to have a coffee in a coffee shop, try and do some writing. I was thinking I was going to write my memoirs of my trip to America at that time, but I found that I had more things to say than I could actually write, so I would be having flashbacks about things to write about from the trip, and I would just make little points, and all I could do is make a couple of little sort of headings, and then I would just put little dashes to say there are points there, but there are so many of them that I can't actually write what they are. It's like there's just so much information in my head to get out, and I just basically would end up putting a little mark every time I thought of a good point to make, but I never actually wrote what the point was because I just couldn't. I felt like I was blocked on actually writing those things down. It's just too hard to articulate those memories. Like, where do you begin? And the things that you remember, like one thing leads into another, so you have to sort of tell the whole story, and it just felt too difficult to tell everything. Although I tried, I didn't get anywhere with it. Yeah. So I would go to coffee shops and write stuff and draw stuff and whatever. That was my main deal, and that's still my main deal. Go to coffee shops and write stuff and draw stuff. Yeah, but so I was doing that, and I also, as I said, would forage around. Did a bit of urban exploring. Is that what you call it? Yeah, urban exploring, like abandoned places. Oh no, okay, I did find some abandoned places. Yeah, I found some good abandoned places in Slough as well. Oh god, now there's too many things to say. Right, let's tell you about the hobo den again in Maidenhead. So, I found like an arch under the bridge and went in there because I saw there were some needles, and needles are always a sign that you've got drug users going about in there, right? So I was like, okay, maybe there's more to this little bridge thing than I was aware of. And I used a torch on my phone. I had bought a phone somehow. I don't exactly know where I got the money from. It was like one of those £10 Tesco phones. And I was using like credit on that, but it had a torch on it. I love those phones. They're so simple. Just like those proper buttons and stuff, and it's got like just crappy little display and text on it, and it's wicked. I love those, like a Nokia 3310 style phone but updated. Yeah, Those phones are wicked. I love those phones. I've got another one of those, but I need to start using it again, I guess. Anyway, so I used my torch on my phone to kind of guide my way around in this bit like a dungeon. It was just under a bridge arch. There were loads of leaves on the floor. And yeah, and it was just kind of dirt and leaves and needles lying around and stuff. And I was like, okay, so this is obviously where drug people go to shoot up and stuff. So I don't exactly know where this entrance was exactly, but it was like if you kept going further down into the arch, it led into this underground bit. It's so cool. It's like, oh my god, it's like some archaeological find. I mean, I don't know if like anyone else, unless you were one of the people who were living in that little hobo den, like who else would know about that? Like what normal person would ever find that? It was ridiculous. It was so amazing. So as I say, went under this bridge part, and then somehow it's like the stuff out of fucking some magical fucking series, or like some historical series where they had secret passageways and stuff. It was pretty much like that. You went down and it went into this cave. It went into a fucking cave. It was an underground cave, basically. It was amazing, right? So you go down this into this cave, and still using my light on my phone. I believe I had a camera as well, but I went back there on a subsequent occasion, sorry, with my camera to take pictures of what I saw, because I was like, I've got to document this. This is wicked. They didn't come out very good, but I did keep them for a while, and then I deleted them. So, of course, this could all just be madness. Then again, I might not have deleted them. They might still be around. Anyway, so you go down this underground bit, right? And the things I found in there were amazing. There was duvets, there was a remote control car, there was a hi-fi system thing. I don't know how they were powering it exactly, but it was like maybe battery powers. As I say, remote control car, bedding, pillows, food supplies, like a little mobile gas hob thing. They had everything in there. It was wicked. It was so good. I was shitting myself as well, because like, where were those people, and when are they going to be back, and what are they going to think about me being there? So I was shitting myself, but it was like, it was one of the fucking best things I have ever found. And just, you wouldn't believe how amazing some things are when, as in like, to go off the beaten path in life, what you can find, you know. I find that stuff really fascinating. I don't do very much of it anymore, but at that time I was like, oh my god, I used to do that kind of thing all the time, urban exploring, whatever. So found this amazing hobo den cave, and I was like, fuck, this is the find. It was like the treasure. It was a treasure trove, because, you know, I mentioned earlier, sometimes you forage around and you're like, oh, why don't people throw away anything good? And then you found this whole fucking cave, like the cave of wonders, or the cave of treasures, in terms of foraging, urban exploring. I'm like, oh, this is the place. This is Mecca of hobo foraging. So I went in there and was just astounded by the whole thing. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that there was this underground lair. It wasn't even a lair, it was just a living place. Fuck, yeah. And it was obviously pitch black apart from my torch, so it was pretty scary as well. But absolutely amazing. It felt like something out of The Hobbit or something, you know, like Smeagol living in his underground cave. It was amazing. I've never found anything like that before, or since, or maybe something, but no, that wasn't quite as amazing. Anyway, yeah, oh my lord, I was fascinated and awestruck and so excited about it, and I might have told some people when I got back, but I was also like, this is my secret. I can't believe I found this thing. It's such an amazing thing I found, and I'm so happy about it. And also, like, another aspect of it as well is how, so it's amazing that people are actually living there and managing to carry on there without anyone knowing about it. You know, a legitimate hideout for drug users and or whoever was living there, and I find that fascinating. It could have been anyone. They could have been murderers for all I know. Remote control car in there as well. So I don't know. It was one of those truck type of ones. It was weird. Oh yeah, and like cigarette stuff. So like rolling tins and whatever, tobacco tins, sorry, and rolling papers and things like that lying around, ashtrays and stuff. So fucking hell, I wish I lived there. You know, I think that would be so cool. Not now, but at the time, I thought it was so cool. But again, as I said, it was also scary as hell because where are these people? Are they in there somewhere? And I just don't know it. You know, um, so I scarpered, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I just found that. And I went back at a later time and took some pictures of it, documented it for myself, and I anticipated showing the world the stuff, but I don't know what I'd fucking call it. Hobo den. Maybe I'll look up that afterwards, not while I'm doing the video. Okay, so I found a hobo den. What else can I say briefly about while I was at Cherries? I fancied Emily, Rowan's girlfriend. I didn't explicitly hit on her, but I just had these fantasies about her, wanked off about her. That's what guys do. Yeah, I fancied her, but nothing ever came of it. What else? Okay, well, there's another big story to do with foraging, but I want to save that for another time because that's a pretty big story. What else did I do then? It was eventful at Cherries. Well, I was living in the attic room. Okay, no, I'm going to leave it there because there are more things to say, and I'll probably deal with maybe one or two of these things at a time. So for now, you just have the amazement of the hobo den to keep you going.